A well-known Lexington cardiologist's son remembers his father just days after he was killed while riding his bike.
We continue to track the latest out of Frankfort, where the governor has announced an investigation into what he calls corruption from the Beshear administration.
He admitted to stealing thousands of dollars from several organizations, but the former director of the Kentucky Music Hall of Fame may be facing lesser charges.
This is WKYT News at 5:30.
Governor Matt Bevin announcing today he is launching a special investigation into allegations of corruption under former Governor Steve Beshear's administration.
Governor Bevin made the accusations during a news conference this morning. The governor claims the Beshear administration forced state workers to make political contributions to Democratic candidates, issued no-bid contracts to benefit friends, and improperly awarded benefits to volunteer firefighters. The former governor called the investigation a, quote, pathetic spectacle. We'll have team coverage on this political tug-of-war between the two administrations ahead for you on WKYT News at 6. Some new information tonight about a 2-year-old found dead in the back of an SUV at a Louisville school. An autopsy shows the boy died of hypothermia. A staff member at Guttermuth Elementary School noticed that Levante Swain was in an SUV in the carpool lane yesterday. Police say he'd been in the vehicle for 4 hours and a daycare employee was driving. He was given CPR but died at the scene. The National Weather Service says that the temperature at the time was 83 degrees. So far, no charges have been filed. And police in Louisville are searching for the driver of a car involved in a deadly crash. It happened early this morning. Police say the car hit a curb, telephone pole, and fire hydrant. Police say 3 passengers inside the car were taken to the hospital. One of them died. Police say the driver of the car left the scene. The identity of the victim has not yet been released.
A man who served as the director of one of Kentucky's most popular music attractions went before a judge earlier today. Robert Lawson admitted to stealing money during his time as the head of the Kentucky Music Hall of Fame. But it appears he will not be spending any more time in jail. WKYT's Mark Barber is in Rockcastle County with more.
Robert Lawson will be out of jail and on probation in 4 months because he is getting credit for time served. Since this is the first time that he has pleaded guilty to serious criminal charges, the Commonwealth's attorney has agreed to let him start a program that gives him a shot at getting his charges dropped and avoiding jail time. If Lawson can meet the terms of his 3-year diversion, his felony theft charges will be wiped off his record. If that's going to happen, he has to pay back nearly $30,000 to the organizations that he stole from. As the former director of the Kentucky Music Hall of Fame, Lawson was supposed to use his position to promote music. Instead, he padded his own pockets by stealing from 3 organizations in Rockcastle County. He was caught last year siphoning money away from the Kentucky Music Hall of Fame, as well as the Cystic Fibrosis Organization and the Rockcastle County Tourism Task Force. Bentley Cromer, a board member with the historic and well-known Music Hall of Fame, says Lawson's sentence does not seem like much. He thinks there was only so much the courts could do.
It bothers me, and even though I think, if he does restitution and does his time, I think that's as much as we could have expected.
While Lawson will be here in the Rockcastle County Detention Center the next 4 months, he will be allowed to leave the jail to work at a factory in Berea. The money he makes will go back to the organizations that he stole from. In Mount Vernon, Mark Barber, WKYT.
If Lawson does not complete his diversion requirements successfully, he'll have to spend 5 years in jail on his charges of theft by deception. He was an experienced cyclist out for a ride when he was hit and killed on Lexington Road in Bourbon County. Dr. David Cassidy, a Lexington cardiologist, died in that crash. State police say it appears to be a tragic accident. Monique Blair talked to Cassidy's son about how he's remembering his father.
Dr. David Cassidy opened a private practice here on Harrodsburg Road in 2014 while also continuing to work as a cardiologist at St. Joe Hospital. Tonight I spoke with his son, who tells me his father loved saving other people's lives.
There's a mechanic that his life he saved, who was our mechanic, who was really, really grateful to my father.
Zachary Cassidy tells me his father, Dr. David Cassidy, moved to Lexington in 1990 after he served in the Army, retiring as a captain. He raised 3 children while quickly becoming a pillar in the community. known for his loyalty and dedication to his patients.
He had patients who couldn't afford his services, and he said, it's okay, whatever you can pay me. And so he had patients who would pay him $1 a month because that was about all they could spare, and he was okay with that.
Dr. Cassidy died Sunday after he was hit by a car while riding his bike.
He loved being outdoors on it and just on the roads, biking. He was training for a 100-mile bike race down in Tennessee next month. How many people in their 60s can do that? He'd tell you that he died doing something he loved.
Last May, Dr. Cassidy's fellow cyclist and friend Mark Hinkle died after he was hit while biking in the Horsey 100. Hinkle's family says Dr. Cassidy was instrumental in getting a memorial set up for him.
What I hope comes of this is public awareness that bikers need their share of the road too.
Dr. David Cassidy's funeral will be held on Friday morning at 11 o'clock at Christ Church Cathedral. In Lexington, Monique Blair, WKYT.
State police say it is too early to say whether or not the driver who hit Dr. Cassidy will face charges.
A woman who was critically injured after police say she was beaten has died. Her fiance's daughter is now charged with manslaughter. Our county-by-county coverage begins in Knox County. The charges are from a fight last Sunday. Police say Haley Bond beat her father's fiancee, Sue Sizemore. She ended up in the hospital with critical injuries. Bond's charges were upgraded to manslaughter after Sizemore died. This morning, Bond told the judge she hit Sizemore out of self-defense. Bond also faces a trespassing charge because police say she had already been ordered not to be at her father's house. The grand jury will hear the case on May 27th. In Franklin County, a judge has denied a woman's request for a new trial or early release from prison. Mona Lisa Maupin is serving a 20-year sentence for the accidental shooting of Patricia Tate. Maupin admitted to firing shots while threatening to kill a man in 2012, and one of those shots entered Tate's home, hitting her. Maupin's attorneys argued she is in poor health and has children at home who need her. The State Journal reports Maupin is eligible for parole in September. In Warren County, 3 parents face charges after police say they allowed their children to fight and didn't try to stop it. Deputies were called to a park in February for a fight between 2 female high school students, but no arrests were made. Police say video later showed Glenn and Kim Budd along with Sharon Grimes at the park, but not stopping the fight. Police say Glenn can be heard encouraging the girls to fight. The 3 parents are out of jail on bonds.
It's another beautiful day here in the Bluegrass with warm temperatures and blue skies, but we could see maybe some changes the next couple of days. Let's check in now with WKYT's chief meteorologist, Chris Bailey. Hey, Chris.
Hey, guys. Very nice weather, as you mentioned, for the past several days. We are doing a whole lot right here in the Bluegrass state, huh? Beautiful skies out there, similar to June, though, with the temperatures. Here's a live look into Lexington. A little more in the way of some clouds today compared to yesterday, but look at that thermometer. 82 degrees, humidity bone dry again, 25%. Not quite the desert, but boy, it kind of appears that way, with temperatures low 80s, low humidity levels across the entire area. Day 2 in a row with those thermometers topping out at 80 degrees or better. A little more in the way of some high clouds out there this afternoon should set us up for, in some cases, a fiery sunset, though off to our west, area of low pressure in the upper levels. That still has the cold air behind it, the warm air out ahead of it, but now we're starting to lose a little bit of that temperature gradient, so the showers and thunderstorms out ahead of that, not as strong as what we were talking about over the past couple of days. Speaking of talking about, when I come back in a few minutes, we'll talk about the summer temperatures that roll on and the storm chance that will increase with a bigger change lurking for next week. Guys, 7-day forecast coming your way in less than 10 minutes.
Chris, thank you. The Kentucky Lottery is now selling several products online. Eligible players who register for an online account will be able to purchase Powerball, Mega Millions, and Kentucky Cash Ball draw games at KentuckyLottery.com. At least 5 instant play scratch-off games ranging from 50 cents to $3 are also available. Kentucky is the 3rd state to offer lottery sales online, joining Michigan and Georgia. We have more details for you on WKYT.com.
You still have time to nominate a teacher and win a gift card for that teacher and yourself if they're selected. Our good question tonight is from a viewer who says they're having trouble finding where to submit that nomination. Kathy's asking, I'm having problems with submitting my nomination. Can you help out? Okay, pretty simple, Kathy. You can go to our website, WKYT.com, and click on the contest section, Or you can go to WKYT.com/teacher #/ and there you can nominate your Teacher of the Year. If they're selected, they win a $1,000 Visa gift card, and you win a $500 Visa gift card. You can nominate right up to Monday, May 2nd at 8 a.m. The winner will be announced on May 16th. This is sponsored by Morehead State University. To submit a good question, send an email to goodquestion@WKYT.com. All eyes on New York tonight as we wait for the results from their presidential primary.
And more on the strong allegations out of Frankfurt from the Bevin administration. Bill Bryant has the bottom line.
Good evening. Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton are both hoping for wins when the results roll in tonight from the New York presidential primary. Trump is hoping that a convincing victory could translate into momentum that might help him get enough support to go to the Republican convention with a first ballot nomination. And Hillary Clinton, who leads the New York polls among Democrats, is hoping that a strong victory in the Empire State for her could lead for more calls for Bernie Sanders to drop out. Kentucky U.S. Senator Mitch McConnell has declared his neutrality in the Republican race for president, but it sounds as though he is signaling opposition to Donald Trump as the nominee. The Senate Majority Leader said in a TV interview here in Kentucky that he is, quote, increasingly optimistic that there will be a second ballot at the Republican National Convention. McConnell says he hopes to be a delegate to the convention and points out that he would be free to do what he wants on a second ballot. In Frankfurt today, Governor Matt Bevin said he is changing the culture in the state capitol. In a news conference late this morning, Bevin read a lengthy statement. He made several allegations of corruption and greed in the prior administration of Governor Steve Beshear. Bevin alleged state employees were pressured to give political contributions. He also questioned some actions taken in the last days of the Beshear administration. Bevin says he is hiring a private law firm to more fully investigate. We have more coverage of the allegations and responses coming up later on WKYT News. The Republican Party of Kentucky staffing up with the approaching election season, including a battle for control of the state house. The state GOP has added Trey Watson as communications director. He ran Ryan Quarles' successful campaign for Ag Commissioner last year, and Josh Thomas will be the RPK's political director. Bill Bryant, WKYT.
Police in Louisville unveiling their plans for the roads and the river for Thunder over Louisville this weekend.
And with construction underway and several ramp closures, police think they have a way to alleviate the headache that will keep things flowing as much as possible. But the roads aren't the only concern. This year, 24 boats from multiple agencies will be on the Ohio River. And with good weather expected, Chris Bailey, police say the crowd should be large and they do not want a repeat of last year's deadly boat accident.
I think the 4th of July incident caused everybody a grave concern, and we just wanted to ensure that we reached out and asked for every single piece of help that we could get.
More than 1,200 officers from multiple agencies will be on the Kentucky side of the river. Louisville police will also have special units to respond to disturbances caused by large groups.